Another name for flathead is Mouth Almighty, and this little fellow sure lived up to that nickname. That lure weighs nearly as much as the fish. We had it in the back of our minds to devote the rest of our trip to working a nearby breakwall for jewfish, and when I spotted small mullet schooling under the bridge, the jewfish idea started to sound really good. With fresh mullet for bait, we might just get lucky on the wall. I don't think fishermen ever really grow up. We devote most of our time to light game fish that run up to 100 pounds or more in weight. And yet there's a fascination about tiddler fishing that gets us in every time. Every place you go and every different kind of fish you try for presents its own unique set of problems. And I think that finding the answers is half the fun of fishing. We told ourselves that we were only doing this to stock up on fresh bait for the next day, but the yahoos when a fish came over the rail and the moans and groans when one got off the hook all sounded like serious fishing to me. It's just as well we had a lot of fun catching those mullet, because we'd no sooner finished than we met a chap who'd been fishing the breakwall for the past few days, and he told us that the jewfish were only biting on live tailor baits. Well, as it turned out, the effort wasn't wasted altogether. The fish had congregated inside the breakwall, and there was a lot more going on there than the jewfish run. The time of day has a profound influence on the feeding habits of fish, with the hours of dawn and dusk usually producing the best results. But in the rivers, the state of the tide is critical to fish and fishermen. The productive times are the hour either side of the top or bottom of the tides. At most other times, the run of the tide is too strong for almost any kind of fishing. We arrived on the wall early. Joe and Wayne elected to try for live baits, and I decided to soak a piece of our fresh mullet, just on the off chance. It's amazing how many fish like to eat bread, even tailor. In this case, the bread was used to attract the fish, and the mullet was used for bait. And this is where our jewfishing plans went all astray. As soon as they hit the water, our tiny tailor baits were gobbled up by hungry brim, brought on the bite by the bread burley. Right along the wall, fishermen were working to catch live bait, but there seemed to be 10 hungry brim for every small tailor in that water. Some of the smarter fishermen bring the whole family along and get the bait fishing organised on a production line basis. Mum catches them and Dad looks after them until the turn of the tide. But for us, it's just one brim after another. It's one of those silly situations where you don't know whether to laugh or cry. Do you settle for a brim in the hand or try to get away from them and chase the big jewfish that may or may not be there. To make that decision a little harder, the bream are getting bigger all the time. It takes a lot of willpower to walk away from bream fishing like this. But the lure of the big jewfish is too strong to resist. When the run of the tide begins to slacken, we find ourselves baiting up for the big fellows along with everyone else. The number of man-hours that go into the capture of a single jewfish are staggering. This particular afternoon provides a good example, with perhaps 20 anglers putting in at least 4 hours each. 80 man-hours for this one fish. This is no time to be learning to use a gaff. And gaffing problems off these difficult rocks probably account for the loss of as many as 50% of the really big fish that are hooked. Well, at least this fish won't be hard to clean. I've already half-scaled him with the gaff. Like the big snapper, the jewfish has a certain charisma about him. He's a handsome fish, a fine table fish, and usually a big fish. Even if you don't catch it yourself, it's always good to see one come in. It proves the big fish are there, and it's enough to bring you back tomorrow for another try. The next day, the whole episode is repeated, as it is most days of the year on most breakwalls. Inshore, the jewfish come on the bite with the full moon, and this run of fish is going off as the moon wanes. But there are still a few around. Something went badly wrong here. Mum was supposed to be catching bait so Dad could catch the jewfish. This lady may be a little excited over her unexpected good fortune, but I have a sneaking suspicion she's caught 1 or 2 good fish before. Just watch this one get the expert treatment on the way to the frying pan. It's nice to see a lady catch a fish, but a little embarrassing when she has the only fish on the wall. Looks like it's time to settle down to a little serious angling. And when Dad gets serious, he doesn't mess about. He was obviously just waiting for a bigger fish to come along. A fish like this is well worth catching any day. But a good run of jewfish along the breakwall could see many fish from 20 to 40 pounds being landed, with occasional 60-pounders showing up to test anglers to the limit. The tide has turned, and today was family day. Perhaps tomorrow's tide will bring a fish for us. There's no hurry, No pressure. It's nice country offering hundreds of fishing possibilities. We have the time and the patience for it, and we're perfectly happy to go right on prospecting and taking potluck as it comes. You know, I think environment is a big part of the appeal of fishing. Even here in a crowded world of high-rise buildings, a fisherman only has to come down onto these rocks to be in a world of his own. Sometimes he's a bit of a loner, but the fisherman's endless search for that secret hotspot takes him into some beautiful country that the average holidaymaker never sees. Fishing gets to everyone sooner or later, regardless of age, sex, or station in life. Some can take it or leave it. Some just can't live without it. There are fishermen in nearly every country of the world. They fish for Nile perch in the rivers of the African desert, and in the Arctic they cut through ice to get at the fish. If you can find water, you can find a fisherman. It is probably the world's biggest participation sport. As long as you stay in the Little League, fishing can be a cheap form of recreation. $10 to $20 can buy you a lot of thrills and fun. But if you really get bitten hard by the fishing bug, you may find yourself working just to support the habit. Heavy game tackle can run into $1,000 for a single outfit, and even the rock fishing specialist can run up a $500 account at the tackle store without trying too hard. The really frustrating thing about it all is that no matter how much you learn about the sport or how much time and money you pour into it, in the final analysis, you need just one ingredient money can't buy, and without it, you might as well stay at home. That ingredient is luck. Plain old hot luck.